Hi, how's everyone doing? So this recording or this video is going to go out as a video response to the awful, rude, and just downright ridiculous comments that this person who thinks they're staying anonymous by the name of ElShiva. Now don't worry, ElShiva, I'm not going to let your identity be known, but here's the deal. I really would appreciate you stopping. I don't think you're going to, but as from now on forward, you're not going to hear from me. You're not going to get, video responses like this from me, okay? I know I deserve a lot more than this in my life. And, people who really know me, my true friends, they're going to ignore the messages too. So you're just basically wasting your time. The one thing I did want to respond to about was you had made this little comment about the Good Samaritan story and that they were mortal enemies, and I guess you're missing the whole point. That's what Jesus intended with this story. Now, let me point this out to all of you out there. The Bible was written and compiled. We're not God. We weren't there when it got compiled. It was written to get whatever meaning we get out of it. And what priest, rabbi, I don't care what their dictation of it is, or, you can still listen to them and get meaning out of it, but why not form your own meaning? Do you know that I've read different stories over and over again, sometimes 4, 5, 6, 100 times, and sometimes I get a different meaning every time I read it. It's beautiful. You know what? I have 2 addictions in life right now, and that's doing my karaoke and reading the Bible. Sometimes I read it a whole day, and the day goes by and I don't even realize it. And it's so inspiring. It really is, guys. And this is not just like a commercial for, Christianity and the Bible. Because there are a lot of things that Christians do that I wish they'd change, you guys. I just had a very intense dream, and in it, I believe God is telling me who the evil people in this world are. My whole life, I thought that, I must have been somebody very different or something happened, but I just want you guys to wrap your mind around this. In the dream, it showed me that, if you guys remember, Satan and a third of all his armies got cast out of heaven, but where do we believe they got cast to? To hell. But guys, think about it. They're walking amongst us. Satan and a third of his armies, those are the evil people today, guys. Think about it. Isn't that awful? And they're infiltrating their wolves in sheep's clothing. They're going into churches and they're getting the good people. And that's the war we're going to be facing, guys. Fighting municipalities, good and evil. So all you evil people out there, we know who you are. I know who you are. God showed me. And I'm not going to be trying to get your respect or friendship with you. Now I'm so happy that I know this. Like, guys, that's what it showed me. I don't care what you believe, but the evil people in this world are very evil. And the good people are so few and far in between. Like Christine and Sandy and Catherine and Mr. Hartnett and Richard. Like all the people that have helped me. You're good people. And it remains to be seen with the others. And, I wonder if they still have a chance to change. I'm sure God will give them that chance. But anyway, ElShiva, I don't want you to fall in that. I don't want you to fall in that category. Whatever it is you were intending by these little comments, you're only making yourself look bad. I hate to tell you. So, in response to the Good Samaritan story, which obviously, see, Jesus was actually made up this story. I don't know if you know the story or how it happened. And by the way, if I get a Bible story wrong, you guys can correct me. I am not a scribe. I'm not, a prophet. And that's another thing I want to say, ElShiva, on a side note. I am a messenger of God. Now, in the past, in the old days, messengers were prophets. I'm not a prophet, okay? In the old days, they were called that. A messenger can be anyone, even an evil person, believe it or not. So you got to be able to decipher, between the two. But what's so wrong, ElShiva, with the life that I've lived and the things I've been through? If you think I'm a rotten person, go ahead and think that. But God knows the truth. I know the truth. My friends know the truth. And that's all that matters to me. But what is so wrong with me living the life that I've lived and me wanting to believe that I'm a special person in God's eyes, that I'm God's warrior, and I am, and that I would die for Him? I would die right now for my God. Would you? So, if there is something wrong with me saying that, then you think that. But I know I am. You can say whatever you want. It doesn't matter. So moving on with the story. A lot of people do take this one out of context. But again, what is that, right? So basically in the court there was this lawyer that stood up and basically was like challenging Jesus, because back in those days, guys, like even today, people are so consumed with this life that we live right now. Nobody seems to be worried about eternity anymore. And you know, people have been preaching the end of world since the beginning of time, and we think that we're so far detached from it. No, we're not, guys. And I'm going to tell you right now, none of us know when it's going to be. But in Revelations, it talks about how people are going to be all about themselves. It's already happening, guys. You know, the new thing today is people put their earbuds in their ears and act like they can't even hear you. Wow. I mean, we've become so far detached, like we'll see a child being beat in the mall and we turn our heads and we don't say anything, or God forbid a friend stick up for us because, you know, the other friend might think it's wrong, and nobody does what's right anymore. And it says it right in Revelations. When people stop caring about each other. I mean, nowadays people just do things, you know, when it benefits them or when it's in their best interest. And how selfish is that, guys? You're supposed to give because you want to give from in here for God. Because, like I said in my other videos, when we give, like when you guys give to the homeless, you're giving to Jesus. As long as you do it to one of us, you're doing it to me, he said. Okay? So back to the story. ElShiva, when you said, you know, you're basically making fun of me saying, oh, come on, the Good Samaritan story, that was his mortal enemy. Have you ever had an enemy help you? Okay, you ask, have I ever had an enemy help me? Probably, but maybe I didn't see it. Maybe I missed the message that God was trying to show me. And that's what I'm going to try to show you that you missed. Okay? So again, this story was a made-up story. Because back in those days, people were consumed. They were obsessed with what was going to happen in the next world or their next lifetime. And that doesn't happen in this world. We're so consumed with 401ks or sending our kid to college and, you know, paying for their college. But nobody's worried about eternity. They really should be. Because none of this, guys, none of this here matters. I mean, it's all great. It's a great way to pass time. But it's a test. Think about it. Like I was telling you the dream I had, okay? Think about it. In the Bible it says that God knew every hair on our heads before we were born, which tells you what? We came from heaven. So why would God put us in in our mother's wombs to have us born into this world to die to only go back to him? Think about it. It's obvious. He's testing us. He's giving us a chance, like up in heaven, whatever it was, you're going to be born, you're going to do what's right, you're going to be facing so many challenges and different tests, and I want to see what you do. Do you think God would be happy with the decisions you guys have made? I know he won't be happy with some that I've made. That's why I'm trying to change now before it's too late. Because I don't know, I could walk across the street tomorrow and get hit by a car. Same with you guys. We're never promised tomorrow. So like I was saying, this story was made up to when the lawyer challenged Jesus, Jesus was just like, oh, I'm going to take on this challenge, right? And Jesus said, it's in the written law. What is the written law to you? And the lawyer's like, well, I already know what that is. It's, love thy neighbor as thyself. Love with your whole heart, soul, mind, and body. And Jesus looks at him and says, and then? So do that. And he goes, the lawyer takes it one step further and goes, well, who's my neighbor? Oh, goodness. Are you serious? Jesus looked at him like, okay. So he starts telling the story about this guy who is just walking down the path, to Jericho, and he gets beat. And we're talking, and by the way, guys, if I'm wrong on a Bible passage or whatever, let me know. I'm not a prophet. I'm not God. I'm not a scribe. I'm not perfect, but you don't got to be rude about it. Okay, ElShiva? So anyway, this is the story as I know it, as I take it in. And so he is stripped of his clothes, beaten within an inch of his life, and leading there. He left there to die, bleeding on the side of the road, when a priest... Now, this is a man of the cloth. So, his eyes light up and he's like, oh, this priest is surely going to help me. He knows the Old Testament law. Because the Old Testament law was you had to help if someone was in need. But the priest sees him and does a 180 and says, I'm holy enough. And walks away and leaves him to die. Then another priest from the tribe of the Levites, and that's in Leviticus, comes along and he lights up again thinking, oh, I'm going to get help. Same thing. You guys know sometimes religious people are the worst. And this is coming from Jesus' mouth. This is a story that he said. So you guys can tell it's coming from Jesus himself that religious people can sometimes be the worst. Because it takes a lot more than religion. The third person that comes along is a Samaritan. Now, as you said, ElShiva, they are mortal enemies. So the first thing he's thinking is, oh, they hate Jews. He's going to kill me. Oh, I'm doomed for it. I'm not going to get any help. And he's terrified. What does the Samaritan do the minute he lays eyes upon him? He is filled with an overwhelming sense of compassion. And yes, for his mortal enemy. That just gives me chills. Now think about it, guys. He doesn't just carry around a first aid kit with him. How silly would that be? So, you know, when it says in the story how he's bandaging this Jew's wounds, like, he was having to pull strips of clothes from his own clothes to bind this guy, you know, to heal him, you know, to fix his wounds. And it talks about pouring oil over his wounds. Guys, don't you see the symbolism in that? It didn't say blotting or dabbing oil. It said pouring. That's what Jesus did when he was on the cross for us. He poured out his blood for us. Of compassion, of grace. You guys, we got his grace and we don't deserve it. But we get it anyway. That's what this enemy was doing for his sworn enemy, guys. Pouring out his compassion, his grace, his love. Not only he didn't stop there, he decided to risk his own life, because back then those inns, they were terrible places filled with thieves and very bad people. So he took this Jew, put him on his beast, and not only took care of him, but walked him to an inn, put his own life in danger, put him up in an inn, and this wasn't even for like 2 days, guys. He gave the innkeeper enough, 2 denarii? That's enough for 2 months. Back then. And if you read it even further, a lot of you might have missed this. It talks about the next day. So that means this guy spent the entire night nursing this guy's wounds, or trying to nurse him back to health. Who does that for an enemy? But that's what Jesus wants us to do. But how often do we do it? How often do we do it, guys? Very, very rarely. If ever at all. Everybody's out to hate each other and one-up each other. And, you know, that's another thing I wanted to say, guys, is look at this world today and how far separated we are, all the different churches, and everyone's trying to prove who's right. When all that matters is service and giving and loving. Love kills everything, guys. Love conquers all. That's why I'm leaving this person's nasty messages up, because I want you to see the enemy is very prevalent. The enemy is walking amongst us. And we'd have so many more people, so many more souls, if those souls didn't get brainwashed or listen to these wolves in sheep's clothing. All we can do is pray. Pray. You know, and for all of you who want to take and say that gay people are evil, they're going to hell, and who are you? Again, you're not God. God's the only one who can judge. Or because I drink beer. I mean, Jesus' first miracle was turn water into wine, and I'm going to do a video about that as well. Everything, if you say that we're not allowed, that you shouldn't drink beer, you shouldn't listen to this kind of music, everything that was created by God was good. Everything. So, Jesus would never have turned water into wine if it was bad. I mean, come on, think about that, guys. Does what you're saying make any sense? No. He doesn't want us to, you know, pollute our brain or our body or our temple, but we're allowed to enjoy it, but not abuse it. That's the difference that you guys don't see. But it's okay, because then again, it could be just my opinion. And unlike all the other Christians out there, I don't, you know, tote off about my opinions being facts, because opinions will never be fact. Everything in this world, guys, is what if. It's not fact, except for that we're living, breathing creatures. But even think about it, all the facts that we know as facts, like 2 + 2 = 4, blah, 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 it's because we came to a general consensus that we would all say that that's a fact. But in all actuality, it's not. Makes you wonder, huh? So, I know this dream that I had the other night was just so amazing. I am just like, I'm still reading and trying to learn more about it, because he showed me very specific things that I'm just blown away, that I'm not scared anymore, guys. Like, I think he did it to put my soul at ease as far as how many enemies I have out there and how people seem to just hate me. I've had people walk up to me, like in front of Circle K, and just say, "Hail Satan." Now I understand why. Because they're the league. They're the armies of Satan. And just like God is trying to get souls, so is the devil. You just have to be able to decipher between good and bad. And let me tell you guys, these wolves in sheep's clothing, they are good. They almost got me. But you know what? I saw. And God will take care of you. God will take care of his children. But this is what he wants. Like in the story of the Good Samaritan, Jesus wanted that lawyer to say, but I can't do it. I need your help. That's what he wants us to do, guys. We're not supposed to do this on our own. We're supposed to help each other and ask Jesus for his love. Ask Jesus for his help. When we extend our hand, he'll take it. I hope everyone's having a good evening. I love you all, and God bless you. ElShiva, you'll never win.